Alright, these are some comment exchanges in the Modern Mystics video titled All Revved Up with No Place to Go. Okay, so this is a video in which he was told to make a video he had just made, but smashing his fingers at the same time because he's saying suffering doesn't matter. So I say at 2:38, which is my way of saying, hey, I only watched 2 minutes and 38 seconds. It would matter to you, meaning cutting his fingers off. The person had said smash your toes with a hammer while making the video. He put it up to cutting his toes off, not fingers, sorry. It would matter to you getting your toes cut off. You are claiming nothing really matters. He's arguing it would matter to you. The words, quote, but it doesn't really matter, end quote, matter even less than taking care of your toes rather than attacking them. It would make it hard to walk. There could be complications. It would threaten your survival, so your body will scream if you try it, because it will make your body less able. How about the game, because he's talking about games and analyzing this in game theory, which I'll get into if I go over his video. How about the game of getting around your house? See, the point is there's certain games you can't avoid. Modern Mystic, who probably won't watch this. There's certain games that can't be avoided. The game of survival, the game of having to walk around your house. Things like having your toes cut off affect a great many of unavoidable games. Okay. And then I said, and then this is the one he replied to in his lovely way. The fact that there is no capital one, capital two, capital game, no one true game, does not mean there are no games where the waste of human potential matters. It means there are an infinite number of games that matter, which you can study in game theory using mathematics and statistics that allow probing large, even infinite sets. Just because they are infinite doesn't mean the set of possible games does not have internal characteristics. Is that really confusing? Maybe to somebody who thinks Brett Keane is some great intellect. Maybe that's too complicated. The old mystic says, quote, games where the waste of human potential matters, end quote, is a dawdle. I don't know what a dawdle is. Okay, I'm not Welsh or whatever it is you are. I'm not Scandinavian or whatever it is you are. Quote, games where the waste of human potential really matters? Exclamation point, question mark. Yeah, the point is you've talked about there's hundreds of games where it matters if you're in soccer or this or that. So they exist. So you can't say there is no game where it matters when there's actually infinite number of games where it matters. Oh, some games it doesn't matter. Which ones are they? Maybe asking and comparing which games it matters to which games it doesn't matter in would be informative. So I said, I don't know what a dawdle is, but you said yourself, in some games it matters. There are an infinite number of possible games where, quote unquote, it matters. And there are an infinite number of games, quote unquote, where it does not. That is not the same as there being, quote, nowhere that it matters, unquote. Quite the opposite. The old mystic, having thought deeply about this, says, Piero, I try to like you, but you being such a dickhead makes it very difficult for me. Is that it? No, I think it's where I show that you're full of shit that makes that difficult for you. Now imagine I get to the point where I'm thinking that you're such a dickhead that the world would be a better place if you were dead. Imagine if you're a passive-aggressive old shit looking out for himself, pretending the world doesn't matter while he looks out for himself. A better place if you're dead. I think that probably wouldn't matter much to me. I think that might have already happened. God, what a prick you are. And came and killed you. See, this is like the kind of low-watt manipulation, these kinds of metaphors. Oh, just a metaphor. Whatever. twit you are. You're an old fool. So, you know, age can grow wisdom, but a young fool often becomes just an old fool. Right? Like someone susceptible to stupid, crazy, phantasmagorical, nutsy ideas and anger and blah, blah, blah. They just become old fools. I don't appreciate those kind of metaphors, but they are informative. Tell me the very much most hugest, biggest game in which that would matter before you start being a dickhead about cause and effect. We all know what that is, so don't go there. I can't believe you're as old as you and you think calling me a dickhead will have any effect positive for you whatsoever. You get to think, I'm going to get mad, and now I'll get irrational. And now I'll worry about going. Haven't even considered what you mean by go there. My answer was, the hugest, biggest game is your obsession, old mystic, not mine. There is no hugest, biggest game. See, we ought to agree on that. There is no hugest, biggest game. There's an infinite number of small games. The very concept is absurd for reasons you seem to know. There are infinite, big enough, and small enough games, though. You don't have a choice but to play one, de facto or by intention. At least one, I should add. And then I said, P.S. I don't believe you do try to like me, but then it's of little concern to me and entirely your business. So the old mystic says, your dick-headedness manifests thus. Well, old mystic, your value system is fucked up beyond recognition to me. You're a pessimistic, selfish person that tries to make a little Epicurean situation for himself, says nothing matters, but I might as well, you know, I could cut off my fingers or I could go play with my vegetables. It doesn't matter, but I think I'll choose my vegetables. And by the way, you value Brett Keane highly and you think Matt's a loser. You're a fucking idiot. Your dick-headedness manifests thus. I therefore take it as a point of pride that you would think I'm a dickhead, because you're a dickhead. I think. You just say what is in your head. Isn't your whole philosophy that we just say what's in our head, genius? You have little or no regard for who you are talking to. No, I do. I do, actually. You think that means I'm going to pander to you? This video I replied to, you said, I'm replying to a video I didn't watch. And then, of course, you're actually replying to comments in that video. But you're always doing that. You replied to my video once where it was really, you'd seen my video through Gary's treatment of it, which you've seen him do to you. You ought to be smart enough to know how that works. No. I like to challenge people. You just expect the recipient to get into your head and try to work out what you might be on about. No. No, I don't expect you to do that at all. Quite the opposite. I do think it's a challenge, though, in your comments. And you're just, the way you react to it is pathetic. Dick-headedness stuff. Yeah, you're very, 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 very rational about it all. You figured it all out when you were 45 or whatever. Well, so did the rest of us, and you're wrong. If you're going to continue to try and do this communicating thing, you really are going to make more of an effort to think of other people. I have a career. I survive fine. That whole thing you're talking about, promotions and this and that and all that and having a life, you ain't the only one. You're not the criteria that proves whether I could communicate well enough. I do communicate well enough. Thing is, I work in complex area, and sometimes I get to go, hey, no, think harder. Oh, but on YouTube I can't do that. Oh, well, maybe on YouTube I don't care if you can understand. Because, see, I think you ought to be able to understand. You talk about me being a teacher. Well, I'm the kind of teacher that says, well, you better be a good student or you don't deserve me as a teacher. How about that? But guess what? I'm not a teacher. I'm not here to teach you. I'm saying things that are comprehensible in an objective sense. You're contradicting yourself. You're just saying things in your head, Piero. That's what we all do according to you, right? No free will, cause and effect, and bullshit like that. Keep your own positions in mind so you can be consistent with them. Oh no, but I'm talking to you, Piero, so I'll think this and that and changing them around. No. You need to be consistent with your own views. You're going to criticize me for just doing what I have no choice but doing? That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Oh, well, you don't need that rule. That's just bullshit words that you talk about free will and cause and effect. That, you know, you're allowed to live, you know, like it's up to people what they do when you're criticizing them. See, I have the freedom to criticize you. I think you make choices. But you don't. For all your effort, you'd be a rotten teacher. I don't think you... What do you know about teaching or learning? I have no evidence that you're good at either one of those things. I don't just care what a random person says. You know, prove to me you're a good teacher. Or a good student. And since you're talking about me being the teacher, prove you're a good student, then you can call me a bad teacher. You're a terrible student. You think you figured it all out. Nothing matters. Nothing matters more than anything else except for you did figure it out about 15 years ago what it was. That doesn't matter. You know, I figured it out too. Guess what the difference is? I know my theory is a theory and a model. I might get too old and tired to work on it. I'm still not going to say that, so it's right. But I'm not too old and tired to work on it.